Yo, 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 yo. I'm super excited, so I don't even want to do a full intro. We were having good conversation behind the scenes before we wanted to get live, so I just want to get back into it. It's your boy Zook here with another episode of Pickle Juice, joined as always by the co-pilot Norway Johnny and a returning guest, recurring guest, friend of the program that we were lucky enough to have on Instagram Live with the great Miss Shelley Wong, commissioner, president, I don't know what you want to call him, but Mr. Jake Hobaugh, how are you doing, sir?
Living the dream. It's been a crazy week, followed by a crazy week. It just keeps going. It's good. I only keep coming back on because you call me good looking when you ask me
I
Well
know how
deserved.
to talk to people. I know how to talk to people. I know how to sweeten the pot and butter them up. But let's talk about what's happened recently, specifically collegiate pickleball, college pickleball, the Duper National Championships that were held at Dreamland. Obviously, we saw the manifestation, the great weekend that was the championship. Talk a little bit about the lead up, the planning, the conversations you had with schools, even get into deep if you could, even like the school scene right now. Like, was it clubs reaching out? Was it teams reaching out? Was it you reaching out to them or vice versa? Let us in on all that stuff.
to. All the above. It was crazy. From
The
pickleball in
Genesis.
college right now is just like waiting to be tapped, right? And like Ben Van Hoot with Duper, he kind of leads the vertical with colleges, and his life was a grind, man. Just trying to get into any club, any team. And it was so funny because, some of these kids were 26-year-old grad students and other things. It was like there were so many different obstacles to go down on this. We learned a lot from it, the good, the bad, mainly good, I will say. Um, the bad is college kids eat like I've never seen in my life. We It was cool. We tried to just literally make this the best experience for these kids get to go play. From busing them, housing them, feeding them. Feeding them was a literal nightmare. Our I've never seen Chick-fil-A disappear in 7 seconds.
Oh,
Well, what you got to realize, let me just quickly get in there real quick. As someone from New York, where there isn't that many Chick-fil-A's, there's
Zook,
actually
don't
only one in my area. You got to realize, like, when you get Chick-fil-A, you get Chick-fil-A. Like, when I go, I get like five sandwiches, five fries, as much Chick-fil-A sauce as possible. So I get that. And quite honestly, if you had asked me what the most difficult part would be, I would have said free food with college athletes. Man, yeah, I can only imagine.
I've
It
got a
was
craving
crazy.
right
Like,
now for Chick-fil-A, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I've been in Norway for a few months, and we're talking about it. It's like midnight here. This is killing me, especially being from Atlanta area originally. Woo.
everybody was about the food all weekend. We catered lunch, dinner, everything, the
Wow.
logistics of it. Like, we all know Dreamland is not in the most accessible place in the world. But we executed it great. Like, it was crazy. I will say props to like Duper and the whole team. We absolutely like grinded this, from Tito and Ben, everybody, Bobby Ashiro came out. We had Duper guys out from like Wyoming helping out with this one
Wow.
because managing that many college athletes is a whole entity in itself. You learn a lot when you're around college kids, and you'll hear them sick because I stood in the 30-degree weather and commentated with Brandon. I was gonna text him today and be like, "Are you sick?" Because I'm sick as
Yo,
hell
we're gonna get
after that.
into that. We're gonna get into that because it was freaking freezing. I honestly don't think I've ever played pickleball in a environment where I could see my breath that like apparent. It was nuts. It was insane. But I want to just get back to when you answered a little bit of the above when I said about who was reaching out to who. Can you tell me about the college landscape a little bit? Because I'm sure you learned a bunch. Was it clubs? Was it teams? Was it like how is it
It's
even
all
operating right now?
Yeah. Oh, it's all clubs right now. And it's like we're hoping that this now opens up other clubs. Like, the whole goal of this is to now have everybody that watch this be like, why doesn't my school have a club? And it's obviously Steve Coon's goal is to have pickleball in every aspect of the world. And college is an easy one. Like you said earlier, how easy is it to turn on the TV and root for UT pickleball? You don't care who they're playing. You don't
The
care who's
story is
playing.
already written.
Exactly, right? And it's like when you talk about NFL football and all that, like, yeah, you have players, but in all reality, college is, in my opinion, a million times more fun to watch. Dude, just these kids' expression on their face, it changes the whole perspective, right?
I can't.
Brandon and I had goosebumps the whole time commentating. It was nuts.
There. Look, you're talking to someone who, besides Steelers, are my religion, so throw that away. My second favorite sport is college basketball because of just the amateurish nature of you're going to see things that you never see, and you're going to have things happen that you may never see in the pros because they get cleaned up. They're not going to be able to hide how they feel. If they want to scream, they're going to scream. If they want to stomp, they want to stomp. But yeah, like if you turned on, like now let's talk about UNC because they won. Like if that team like set up a 7-match like bonanza against Duke, that sells itself, right? Like no rivalry or anything needs to be created. The forefront of that has already been kind of laid down in the collegiate atmosphere. There's already the real estate with the courts. There's already the conferences. There's already the teams. Like you said, I don't want to call it low-hanging fruit because none of this is easy. But when you're talking about very pragmatic next steps, it makes too much sense.
Oh, for sure. And I think for us, it's like our whole goal is to create pathways from the juniors into college, into minor leagues, into MLP. And that's what grows the sport. And that's what keeps the sport sustainable, right? The first round of pickleball wasn't sustainable. We didn't have the venues, we didn't have the sponsors, we had nothing. This way around, you can throw that out the window because now you have everything. But it's a process with schools, right? It's not easy. I will say it's getting a minor league team from Florida to come into Austin and play over a weekend is a million times easier than this.
Who do
with
you
college.
deal with? Do you deal with like the schools, the kids on the team? Do these clubs need to have like like someone on staff? How does that even work?
Every school is so different, from talking to ADs to I talked to a couple kids' moms, and parents and volunteers. I wish there was like one contact that would be amazing, make our lives easier. But you would not believe who and a lot of times it's a player. It's like a grad school kid that has put it together.
Mm.
Like props to Michigan and Wolverine Pickleball Club out there. I think in Ann Arbor. She lets them go in. I randomly met her like 3 days before this event. She was in at Dreamland doing a pour my beer like convention because she's opening up another location. She was like, "Oh yeah, you guys are housing the Michigan pickleball team. They practice every night from 10 to 2 a.m." And I was like, "Oh my god."
That's nuts.
There's yeah, like it's every story was so different. I think we had one team that was playing in the challenger bracket that their flight was delayed 5 times. They slept in Atlanta airport. They literally got off the plane an hour late, checked in an hour late, went straight to the court with nothing and won a match. Like
That's insane.
it was crazy, man. Like there was so many cool stories from it.
Now tell
Yeah,
us, there's got to be a sales dynamic there, right? When you talk about speaking to these colleges and potentially like the macro level NCAA, like, where does Duper benefit in that? Because obviously, I think Duper sets the table so well for it's almost a turnkey league the way you guys have it established. What's the sales benefit there for Duper?
That's a great question. For right now, honestly, it's to grow the sport. That's it.
Yep.
I wish. It's funny because I get asked that every day, like, "Oh, where's the financial back to this? Where's this?" There is none. Like, we're here to grow pickleball, and we're here to make it as easy as possible, right? And it's like you saw with the rating system. The teams that were in the finals had the higher duper. It works, and when something works, it's easy. It's easy to sell a product that is efficient. Um, and now it's like from an operational side, we want to provide the best opportunity for these kids because
Mm.
say if you're in college and you say, "Oh, I'm going to go play this college tournament in the middle of Dripping Springs, Texas," and it turns out to be this horrible, shitty event, you're never going to want to go play pickleball again, right? So it's like we're trying to combine both. It has to be the player atmosphere along with the software and the backing of our company that makes everything work efficiently.
No,
And that sounded like a sales pitch in
no,
itself, but, but it's
no,
true, right?
it does work, and I have the teams listed right here next to me. And you mentioned Michigan. And I want to go through some of the others besides the top four because we'll cover the top four a little bit more extensively. One thing I want to say before I go down the list is the thing that I really loved, and this is the most fascinating thing about this whole college sport to me, is out of the 16, there was 8 power conference teams and 8 what I would call mid-major or not even mid-major conference teams. So the perfect like mix of like big power schools that you would see if you were watching college football on Saturdays, and schools like Utah Tech that I've never seen them like ever in a sporting event, and that's so cool. And I'm just waiting to see who's the school that's going to take the next step. You got to think for a school like, and again, I'll just compare the 2 finalists. For a school like UNC, it almost seems like too easy, right? Like, how much is that athletic department making at this point? They saw the success they're already having. We know the expense isn't that crazy. They already have the real estate to play this game. It's really just traveling and getting these kids to play and maybe paying a coach if that's what's needed to make it a full-time sport. And then Utah Tech's on the opposite side, where they can make this their like sport of sport. Like, this could be like what basketball is to UNC or football is to Texas. Like, pickleball can be that for Utah Tech. So I'm really interested to see if this becomes a mid-major or a power conference sport based on what you saw. And I'll list the schools after you give me the answer. Was there anything that stuck out to you between those 2 sets of schools as to which, type of school you think would be most likely to take the plunge next year?
Well, so what I learned a lot from this event is so much of what, kind of like what you said with real estate, right? The schools that are doing well, like Utah Tech, they have huge backing behind them in the community with like Pickler up in Utah, right? And Jorge, who's just like, he's committed to growing the sport of pickleball. So he has Utah Tech out there practicing, helping them out with equipment, stuff like that. Like, when these kids are motivated at all, I've learned in college, like with food, they'll do whatever you want, right? So it was, the schools that have the means to go practice. This is like nobody goes plays pickleball for an hour, right? If you're a college kid and you're into it, you're playing for 3 to 4 hours a day, and that's your thing, right?
You just said 10
So
p.m. to 2 a.m., right? So 4 hours every time they were practicing, basically.
that's crazy to me. And when she was telling me this, I was like, so number one, you were willing to stay open. Two, you were willing to give those courts. That's exactly what we want, right?
Yeah.
As a sport to keep it going. But I would say like facilities, right? Everybody needs facilities to make it happen. And to be honest, some conferences that aren't doing it, I'm shocked, right?
Same.
It's easy. It should be easy. But then again, when you go into the operational side of it all, I think a lot of schools just aren't prepared to take it on right now,
Yeah.
especially after COVID and a million other things. They're not looking to add; they're looking to supplement for what they kind of already had. But dude, I would have played pickleball in college in a heartbeat.
Yo,
Despite
like,
that,
oh
yeah.
my God. I would have played like, you got to think it's already popping up. And I don't know if is it popping up on the intramural side at least more in college, and I'm not even talking club side because that's such an easy start, right? The best kids in intramurals create like a club that could potentially go in this, and we know at colleges it always comes down to the bottom line. So if they're going to lose money on it, they're realistically not going to do it. But how do you think we could tackle that? Like, how could you make it appetizing at this point for those colleges to feel like it's worth the penny that they're going to have to pay to take this on?
Well, and we've had meetings on this for the last couple days. Is like, hey, this was a success. We loved it. Kids loved it. We got a huge game plan going forward. Let's put it that way. We are. There's always a lot of I can't say, but we're gonna. Our goal is to help, right? You want to go in and make sure that one, it's a success from the start, because a lot of times they don't do things correctly, and it turns into this logistical nightmare and operational nightmare, and then the school's like, screw this. So our goal is to go in, make it easy, make it efficient. It's a freaking pickleball and a paddle, man. It's not like it's the
not
best
rocket
cheap
science,
sport in the world, right?
It is.
Like
It is. And that's why
anywhere
it should
from
be so appetizing because of like how easy it is to just get
Yeah.
involved. And sometimes they just need to be kind of like told, okay, this is all you got to do. And as long as they hear it from someone like you guys, they'll be more willing to undertake it. But quickly, because I've said I'm going to name them a few times. Obviously, the Utah Tech, James Madison, UNC, TCU. Those were the teams we got to see live. But the other ones, Florida, Ohio State, Utah State, Case Western, Texas A&M, Grand Canyon, NC State, Virginia, Michigan, Wisconsin Whitewater, Loyola Marymount. And the last one I got to ask you about was Florida / North Carolina.
That I don't even know about that one.
That's good.
That one above my head, right? That one, that was a Ben Venute thing. I didn't get filled on that one.
Do you even know what it would like? Is that like half? Is it University of Florida?
I assume so. I think was a mesh. We had some teams that pulled out, got sick, had logistical nightmares to get there. And I think for us, it's like just figuring out how to get them to be able to play still was our top priority. And Ben did an amazing job of it. He was the direct contact he was pretty much all these kids like parent for a long time while trying to get there. I can't imagine. He did a great job.
And like you said, with Duper being so good at what it's trying to do, and that's rank people, the top 4 were the 4 we saw in the finals, which made sense. And when I went through the groupings, and I thought you guys did a great job with the groupings to make them as close to, average Duper among you took the 16 teams, you put them in 4 groups of 4, and you made them as average Duper as possible. But let me ask you this. When you get a team that's like a 4.65 average Duper playing a team that's a 3.42 average Duper, we didn't get to see those games. You guys did. Was there a distinct difference in quality of play in that matchup specifically?
There was, as Duper would say, anything within 1.25 is relatively playable. As you go to that 1.25, it changes quite a bit. And you could tell, like, the Dupers that were that much lower, they haven't been put in that situation as well, like tournaments. If you're above a 4, you've played tournaments, you're kind of living in the world. If you're in the 3s, you probably really haven't jumped into it yet. And when you add that variable in a college atmosphere, it was pretty intense. But there was a couple actually really good matches on the back.
No, that's what I want to ask you about real quick, because you mentioned a good point with the 4 being the cutoff. The teams below 4 were NC State, Virginia, Michigan, Wisconsin Whitewater, and Loyola Marymount. Before you jump to what you were going to say with the good matchups, out of any of those 5 that I said, and I'll say it again, NC State, Virginia, Michigan, Wisco Whitewater, and Loyola Maryland, did any of those 5 look like they belonged and maybe outplay their Duper more so than any of the others?
I was impressed with a few of them. I noticed every team with a lower Duper average, they had 2 to 3 really good players. There was just kind of that one fill-in that maybe hasn't played a ton. Virginia, I'll tell you what, Virginia, I don't care what their Duper was. They were the loudest, most energetic, pumped kids in there. So whatever, they made up for everything on just spirit. It was nuts. They were so loud.
And for perspective, cool. They were 13th on the list at a team Duper of 15.5, essentially, so 3.88 average. So that's kind of surprising, because they were in the bottom quarter there of the teams. So, but hey, that's a solid school.
It was funny. After the event, Brooks Wiley and I played a couple games with some of the kids that were still hanging out. Like, they can all play. That's the coolest thing about pickleball. You can all play, right? It's just not as competitive as, you get into the live streaming and stuff. Like, that last finals match was solid. Like, you watched it and you were like, this is the future of college pickleball.
That was insane.
And I think all those schools that are behind that, they're going to catch up. There's no doubt about it. I was shocked. I will say this, the athleticism behind a lot of those schools that maybe weren't up there, their athleticism was huge. Dude, did you guys see the guy from Florida's outfit of the year? He had like this, like anime, kind of Japanese anime Florida cartoon shorts, hat and shirt. Oh my God. I got to find out who this kid is.
That's hysterical.
The nicest kid, rocking it all weekend too. It was cool.
And with the NIL and college sports, these kids could probably even make a pretty penny if they have the personality, like you're saying with this. And a good point that you just said about how good the players are is before I was able to watch college pickleball on Friday, I was watching the APP Next Gen, and Laura McLaughlin was calling it, and it was some younger people as well. And she said something that rings true with the college pickleball kids. All of them are really a lot of times raw, just as talented as some of these pros that we think are the top pros. All they're lacking is experience. They can make all the shots, and they have a lot of times all the shots in their bag. It's just either A, doing it on a consistent basis, which comes with experience, or two, knowing exactly when to hit the shot. Like we saw sometimes in college pickleball on Saturday, they were hitting a beautiful shot, but maybe it just wasn't the time. And then there was one that would lob up and it would be easy. And I noticed more so than the pros, some of the putaways were going out of bounds. So just some things about being in certain moments, time and time again. It's really just experience, but skill-wise, like you just fast forward these kids a few years. Like you said, watching Utah Tech versus North Carolina was legitimately like watching the finals of the MLP. It was very similar in terms of skill, and the passion that we got from the crowd was wow. It was something, especially on a cold day.
Yeah, I would say those are going to be some of the coolest photos from pickleball of all time. Like with the breath coming out, you can see it all.
Dragons, they look like
It was
dragons.
it was cool. Like I was commentating, and Branson, our photographer, came over and showed me some of them, and he was like, "This is amazing." He goes, "The content we're getting out of this is unreal." But kind of like what you said, like the kids, their shot selection needs a ton of work. Their athleticism is there. It's just the dedication, right? It's
Yeah.
like, I see the top level of pickleball every day at Dreamland, from DJ and Deco and all them. They're out there drilling, grinding. They're working on things like a professional athlete. And if these kids get that bug, to go down that road, there's no stopping them, right? This is where again, where pickleball, you have all these conversions from tennis that are going to pickleball, and that's great. But I love talking about the guys that didn't come from tennis. They've learned
Right.
pickleball and they've learned how to play it differently. Callan Dawson, for instance, it's like he's using a ping pong grip. That's amazing. Like the guy's that good, and he's not treating it like tennis. It's a different sport. And I asked a lot of the kids at college, like, hey, do you come from a tennis background? Blah, blah, blah. It was a shot in the dark of what they played. Volleyball, basketball,
That's incredible.
they got addicted to a racket sport and they never thought it would be pickleball, which was the cool thing. But the kid from Carolina, he's a tennis player. The kid in the final, he's good.
Okay.
Like you could see very similar tennis strokes. Comes from he's obviously, if you're a high level tennis player, just that transition's a lot faster. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It's just quicker.
And what a co-ed sport, right? You could easily say to a college, it's by far the best co-ed sport in the world. Like you can't, like, what do you compare to this? Like there's nothing that compares to this co-ed wise.
There's really
So
nothing. There's really no. That's one of the things I love about just pickleball in general is you get things that you never see in other sports. And first for me, it was mixed, and now more recently, I've been introduced to like split. So one senior pro and then one normal pro. Like anything that you can't see in other sports that happens competitively in pickleball is why I love pickleball. But on the other end, college sports isn't anything new, but college sports I feel is any sport at its purest. So seeing it on more and more campuses legit only makes more sense to me. How off the chain has your phone been since the event?
I've just given up in the last month. Like to be honest, from what we're doing, it's insane. Like I'm not exaggerating. I'm on calls and Zooms from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. It's like, and it's not one thing. It's minor league team ownership. It's the schedule for 2023 college. This Duper, because obviously it all comes back to Duper, and that's kind of where every possibility is coming from. And at the end of the day, we're just trying to make Duper the best platform every day. And what can we learn from it? Because the better it gets, the better everything we're launching off of it gets. So it's crazy. Like I work for a lot of big companies, and I've never had an owner like Steve where I'm on a call and a Zoom with him every day. At least 2 to 3 times a day of like, what are we doing? What can we do better?
wow.
What are we offering every single day? And it's super stressful, but it's fun.
Well, where this is gonna go next year is I'm gonna say I'm just gonna say we at this point. We're gonna create maybe we'll divide the country into 4 regions and we'll pick 4 facilities one in each of those regions, and we'll have a regional battle of all the schools in the area that want to make it, and then we'll take the top 4 from each of those regions, and we'll do next year at the same time what you guys did this year, and we'll invite them all to Dreamland, and we'll have another collegiate national championship. I think that sounds good, right?
Well, that's the funny thing that Brandon and I were talking about. Like, everybody's like, "Hey, how much eligibility do I have left? What credit
Right.
can I sign up to go play for this?" All of a sudden, Alabama is going to have like some sick team with
Admissions
it
going up
reminds me-
from all the 30 plus.
right? So, what NBA player went and played college golf?
Was it
Oh
J.R.
my God.
Smith?
J.R. Smith, right?
Yeah.
I can see a lot of that happening. Like, no joke. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, somebody's got some eligibility, and they're in their mid-late 20s, and they're like, "Damn, I'm gonna play college pickleball. Why wouldn't
And
you?"
you see Grand Canyon.
That's
State University.
crazy.
Isn't Grand Canyon? Weren't
Yeah,
they?
Grand Canyon was in there.
Yeah, and that's like a mostly online school, correct? I know they have.
Well, and it's
location
crazy. Grand Canyon, they always have a really good tennis program. They've always had a really solid tennis program. I wasn't surprised to see them jump into pickleball because they do a good job of offering. One of my buddies went there and played, and they produce good tennis players. It's not the best level of play, but they're always really good in their division. I think their coach must be doing something right. When I say a good program, something's doing right in that program.
And with
I like
Duper, yeah, so you guys, just not to go too far off on a tangent too, but I mean, we've seen some of the biggest Duper news yet with PPA adopting Duper. What can you tell us about that? I mean, to me, this just opens up a whole litany of items, sports betting, you name, like all these things that now are becoming turnkey for PPA as well. I mean, what's that mean for you and your role, Jake, and Duper as a whole?
Stress.
No,
No, it's like
calls.
it's funny because I read a lot of I do a lot of reading, just what people are talking about with the merger, and because for me, it's how does pickleball get more unified? I come from a tennis background to where you have 7 different ranking systems, and it's just like avoiding that cluster is key to the pickleball success, right? And it's like, how does everybody play on the same field at all times? And it's just, there's going to be different organizations. I love what like World Pickleball Tour is doing. There's a lot of organizations that are just doing a really good job of what they do. We just want to help, right? That's kind of a Duper standpoint. We want to help make sure that their seatings are correct, their standings, their head-to-heads. We want to make sure that information is out there for everybody, right? And the merger, it's been long. It's good for the sport. It really is, for sure.
So I think we got the first of 2 teams joining us tonight, and we got some of the squad from Utah Tech joining us here. Max and Kate, how we doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Matt, how we doing?
Doing
Dylan,
good.
how we doing? How's everybody doing tonight?
So good.
Awesome.
I'm extremely excited to have you guys on. I appreciate Jake setting this up for us. Before we even start with questions, I just want to let you know, you guys are fucking awesome. I watched all Saturday, and even though it didn't end, the exact way you wanted it, be proud of the way you play. It was some of we talked about before you guys came on. If there wasn't the college names above your names, we would have just thought it was pro pickleball. It was that good. So definitely an awesome job this weekend.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Matt. So, and I guess we'll go kind of down the line. We can start with Dylan. Who are you? How does one get into college pickleball? Tell me a little bit of your genesis story.
All right. Well, I'm Dylan. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. I am a freshman at Utah Tech. I've been playing pickleball for like 3 years. The main deciding factor of me going here was for pickleball, was for an indoor facility that's being built down here. Can I turn my camera?
Yeah, I think you.
I'm gonna
I have to just turn the phone.
well, I can't. I don't know how to flip it.
I don't think it's gonna let you.
Anywho, I live across the street from the Pickler, which is the indoor facility that we're sponsored by.
Right on.
But I really, really love pickleball, and being a part of this collegiate team was so awesome. Like the best people. Huge shout out to our videographer Kyler and Brandon and Hunter for like doing everything behind the scenes and doing everything for us and making it so awesome and fun. But it was
Their Instagram reels are solid.
Oh
Like
my
if you
Yeah.
guys haven't looked at it, I was
Oh
shocked.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Aren't they
That's
so like they're good looking, huh?
no, I love everything that they're doing. I love everything they're doing. So we hear the story of Dylan. She's a freshman. Very interesting that she chose college for pickleball. We'll come back to that after introductions because that's really cool. Max and Kate, you guys may be a little bit on the opposite end of the spectrum from a college freshman. Tell me a little bit about you guys.
Yeah, so Kate was playing college tennis down here at Utah Tech, and we were dating, and then we decided to get married. So I got dragged down to St. George to go to school, so that she could keep playing tennis. And I didn't really have anything to do while I was down here, so I decided I was a mediocre tennis player, and I needed a sport that I was better than her at. So I started playing pickleball about 2 years ago. And I just started playing a lot of pickleball every day. And then I eventually got her to quit tennis and leave the team so that she could come play some pickleball with me. But
Yeah.
I enjoy
That's
that.
love right
I
there.
enjoy that. I got a lot to ask you guys, so don't go anywhere. A lot to ask you guys. So we talked to the college freshman. We talked to the married couple. Now the man in the middle, Mr. Morgan. How are you today? And tell me a little bit about yourself.
Doing good. So I'm on my last semester, well, I guess last year at Utah Tech. My story, so I started the pickleball club about 2 years ago. It was a rec club, and we just had a lot of fun. And then I gave it off to Hunter and Brandon and Max, and they've been spearheading more of the college side of it. Right now, so I'm a head tennis coach for high school. I just got done. I'm still teaching tennis right now. But done that for the
I
past
can
4
see that.
years.
I think we're on the ball caddy, aren't we? You got the phone on the ball caddy. I saw that.
Yeah. So I'm a head tennis coach. I've done that for the past 4 years, and then I signed to play at Utah Tech on their men's tennis team, but COVID kind of cut that off. So I've just kind of focused a little more on pickleball, and yeah, it's been a fun grind.
No, that's so cool. That's the one thing I love pickleball. Like I'm just sitting here right now, and the four of you are so different. Like the three different cameras I'm looking at right now have different stories, but we're talking about a team that made like the collegiate finals. So let's go back to Dylan for a second. Is this something that people are now doing now? I'm not saying it's so mainstream, but being involved with the people in college that are playing pickleball as much as you are. Is there a movement of people choosing colleges because of their pickleball program?
No, it was
Okay.
like I didn't choose Utah Tech for the pickleball program specifically. I chose it because I'd moved down here and work at a pickleball facility.
Okay.
The program just became like the best part ever about it.
Okay.
So that was kind of the main reason. But I had Brandon reach out to me like originally during the summer and tell me about our pickleball program, but I had no idea that it was going to be as big as it is.
Yeah.
And what it grew to be, and just the energy and everything from the collegiate championship was more than I could have ever anticipated, Yeah,
that's crazy. So if the four of you got to play, and you're talking about how big this club has gotten, Matt, how did the four of you get to be the four that went to Dreamland? Was there an internal tournament? Was it based on seeding? How does that happen?
We mostly based it off of duper rating, and then a lot of the chemistry between the partners. So like obviously Max and Kate have good chemistry on the court.
Believe it or not.
Most
What
of
was
the
that?
unless it's rec play, it's a little different when you're on TV in a broadcast. You're not allowed to fight.
I don't know what it was the other night, but I was scrolling through Instagram at like, I don't know, midnight. And all of a sudden on nothing that involved Utah Tech, I just should have screenshot it. It was Max hitting his tweener between the legs from college pickleball. And I was like, how did this get out that fast? It was nuts. That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
No, I'm telling you, the stuff that was going on there was spreading like wildfire. People were so excited. college sports is everything. It was just amazing. But Matt touched on the chemistry, and I just want to follow up with that. I refuse to too often play with my fiance because of how competitive I get on the court. How do you guys handle that? And like you guys said, it's not even at the rec point at this point. Now you're on these big streams playing, even though it's called college. College sports are pseudo professional without the big money backing. What is that like for you guys in terms of your personal dynamic as well?
I don't know. I feel like it's almost easier to play in the bigger stuff because we're more focused and like pumping each other up. But when it's like the small rec play, then we just like
When it's the practice
get-
and I'm trying to give some guidance, that's when the problems start.
So, but then
He hasn't been married long enough yet.
Dylan and Matt, is there any, you know the type of chemistry that they must have as a married couple. You know that obviously you never want to let the other tandem down when you guys are trying to form chemistry and you guys are trying to play together. Is there anything that you guys take from Matt and Kate and anything that you see from them that you try and bring into your partnership? Or is it something where with each individual person, you kind of got to find what works with them?
Matt introduced me to the beautiful high five. Incredible. That is our main builder right there. And let me tell you, it's crisp. It's awesome. It does the job, gets you back into it. I don't know. Matt, what do you think?
I think feeding off of Max and Kate, seeing their intensity and portraying that in our game, we're both intense as well, so that kind of helped us have that chemistry. The high five, I just can't tap paddles for some reason.
Especially when it's a quality paddle, right?
Oh, straight up.
And Dylan, what happened with the rock paper scissors? Did someone once hurt you when you played? Because you didn't even do it once. You did it once, and then you severely apologized, and then the competitor in you came out again because the next time you also went crazy. What was that all about? Was it just the moment?
It's actually just how I enjoy to play rock paper scissors. I don't like when you don't follow through. There was actually another rock paper scissors game that was off camera that I think played the biggest part into our championship game because it was rock paper scissors for the coach.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
The first one,
I hate to admit it,
10 times more intense.
Yeah, I hate to admit it. I lost Pickle.
Deckle was 3-0 with his teams that he coached.
He was on fire.
So I think that was the main problem.
His coaching was.
This brings up a great point.
If
I'm just gonna. Go ahead.
The first rock paper scissors match, she won the first game, held out scissors, and I shoved my paper into her scissors. I just like the game to be finished. That's all it is. And so when I smacked her hand on camera.
So I just want to bring up a really good point here. So obviously you guys are in Dreamland, Dripping Springs, Texas. You've got one of the best opportunities for networking. And we've talked to several pros about how, once you start getting acclimated in the game, you start making a few appearances, all of a sudden you start getting a few text messages going with people you haven't texted before. What's it been like since, your championship game? I mean, you guys all showed out. You played high quality pickleball. Matt, your fundamentals, you can tell you're a coach because you're, just the frame you have, the presence you have on the left side of the court there. You look like you've been playing forever, right? Like some of these pros have. Who have you guys gotten to network with? Have the phones been blowing up? What's it look like for you here moving forward after that match?
Yeah, I think, I've been DMing some different pros and stuff. We got to play with DJ Young a little bit before we left to Nationals. So talked to DJ Young a little bit, and me and Deckle have been going back and forth in DMs a little bit. And I told him it was his fault that we lost. So I put the blame on him because he didn't come to the finals. But it's been cool to see the way that it's blown up a little bit and just people reaching out that I haven't really talked to before, especially with the tweener and stuff. Everybody was reposting that. And
How about not even pros? Because one thing that really excites me is the growth just in landscape of the collegiate game in general. Have any other schools or smaller clubs from other schools that have even started recently reached out to see how they can either get to the level that you've gotten to or ask for any tips on how to get to the size that your club has gotten? Has any of that peer-to-peer outreach happened as well?
Yeah, so I have 2 phone calls for this evening actually with 2 of the other schools in Utah, the University of Utah and Utah Valley University.
Jake, you hear that? Write those 2 down, Jake.
Yeah, so
what I'm hearing is Max wants a job.
Yeah, give me a job, Jake. But yeah, so I've been talking with a couple of their guys who saw the national championship and seen what we've done with our club, and they want to be able to play in the next one and kind of grow their club. So they're kind of wanting to know the steps of how that went. So we've been talking with other schools throughout the state.
That's unbelievable. Jake, a question I never asked you was, I know we settled with 16. What was that out of? Like, how many different conversations were through? Like, how big is the pool that you're pulling from at this point?
Not as big as you think. That's the
Okay.
crazy part. It's not huge. When we're looking at even just like the university allowing the teams to come and, miss class and whatever they had to do to get there, it wasn't an option for a lot of schools.
Wow.
Ones that like, pickleballer, like with Jorge, dude, that guy, he's like his own Steve Kuhn, right? He just loves it. He wants to create every opportunity for whatever anybody that he can help in pickleball, he'll help. That's amazing. And that's what we need more of that behind every single university.
Dylan, you're raising your hand.
When we were talking to Utah State, they said that their school didn't even let them wear Utah State stuff. And that was, I mean, the Pickler sponsored them, but that was like another main reason that they were just wearing Pickler stuff.
That's crazy.
Right?
I don't know why they wouldn't want to do it. Matt, did you say you were responsible for starting the club? What process did that look like? What did your relationship with the school look like at the Genesis versus now when it's super popular and, going to the finals of a collegiate finals?
Yeah, so what helped with starting it, luckily, like I was really involved with the school, so I did like student government, I worked in the IT department, just been involved a lot with like the ambassador program, and so while starting the club I had huge connections, but also support from those different organizations that allowed me to get past some of those logistics or kind of the bureaucratic side of starting a club and going not necessarily under the table, but just asking for forgiveness, not permission kind of thing, and just going for it, and getting away with it just because I was like, oh, I'm sorry, just like slap the back of my hand, and since we have a good relationship, so like not abusing it, but they understood that it's we're kind of bootlegging it all together.
No, that's great.
That's literally what this turned into was, ask for forgiveness after in a lot of these situations. I hate to
do well enough at the tournament that you can go back and show a prize and they can say, hey, there's nothing we can say about it at this point.
Yeah. Those towels.
I got a question for you guys as a team. How much did your school showcase this when you guys got back?
Well, I feel like it's kind of a weird time. It's like Thanksgiving, like break is just starting. So I don't know. I feel like it's like.
Do you guys have a football team? Like, what's the sports like at Utah Tech?
Yeah, football team.
Okay.
Basketball, all the main sports.
Yeah.
They are D1. Utah Tech went D1 within the last few years. So
I'm very upset with myself that if Utah Tech has a D1 college basketball team that I don't know them well. So that's definitely on me, and I'm going to do a lot of research into that. But okay, so I was wondering how this was fitting into the wider sport, ecosystem at a school. But I guess if you have other sports that people are there and tuning into, you would like to think, do you have any inclination that they will, promote this and show this off what you guys did?
For sure, yeah. So I think it's been going through the athletic department quite a bit, and the athletic director has heard a little bit about more about the pickleball club and what we did. And I had quite a few students who had been involved with our club. We have quite a bit of members throughout our school who watched some of the live stream and stuff. And so there's people at school today when I was there for a couple of my classes just saying like, great job this weekend. Like, it's awesome to see you guys make it to the finals, and different coaches of other sports teams have been reaching out and commenting on our Instagram page and stuff like that. So I think it's starting to get some more publicity around the campus, and it's been cool to see. But
looking at did you guys go to the homecoming game at home against Southern Utah where you guys pulled off the 48-36 victory?
Yes.
In football? I am looking at that schedule.
Dixie State University, we did have a name change the start of this fall.
Oh, did you?
This is the first semester of the school being Utah Tech.
Okay. That makes a little bit more sense. So looking at the division that you guys were in, Case Western, Loyola Maryland, the team Jake still can't describe to me, Florida/North Carolina/ I don't even know who's on that team. From that round of it, is there any of those teams that you either remember something about those games? Because we only got to tune into the finals, so we saw your semifinals and finals match. If you could anything stuck out about group play that you either want to even call out just to commend an opponent or something that was funny during a game or an interesting point. Dylan, you were about to say something. Don't hold it in.
Hello?
I hit a girl so hard in the head.
Oh, it was so hard.
So hard.
Hardest.
What team?
It was
Loyola.
It was Loyola?
Loyola Marymount.
Oh, I felt so bad.
That was awkward.
And she wasn't popped it up.
It wasn't a close match, and she was still headhunted.
What's the average duper rating of people in your club? Like if if the four of you were to play four people in your club, what duper are they?
We have a wide range in our club from like just beginning to pretty close to where we're at. We have some 4.3s, 4.5s around that area, and then we have some much lower as well.
Let's go. Hunter's in here saying they will for sure. Currently working on it with school marketing, communication. That's cool. The reason I asked that is because the dupers of the teams that you play, you guys were 4.65, so overall the best at the tournament. 4.15, 4.05, 3.42 were the three that you played. And I just wanted to know from like a genuine standpoint, when a group of like 4.65s plays like a team of 3.4s, I didn't know if that was the caliber of opponent you were used to playing. Were you playing people that more so lined up with you? How did these three teams that you played line up with the normal, intramural or club team game that you guys would be able to get on campus?
I would say maybe like the first couple rounds, we usually can get people that are a little better than that to play. But I don't know.
I think to get some, I think within our club we have similar rankings to the teams that we played in the first few rounds. We'd have to go outside of our club and play people in the community for some of those better matches to get us prepared for the semifinals and finals matches.
So where do you go with that? Because I want to just hit that point on the head. If this is going to become mainstream and we're looking at Jake now and we want more of these events, and it's clear that you're going to have to go out there and maybe train up so you're used to playing those caliber of player. Is that any of the conversation that the four of you or even the club in general has had since this event when you've seen the caliber that's out there at other schools?
Definitely. I think Matt touched on a lot of good ideas this weekend with a lot of like the club members. He wants to talk about it.
What are you referring to?
About like coaching and stuff and like having actual trainings and getting like regimens put together for the club to get people up.
Oh, yeah. I think if we, especially to focus on like the lower members and then us, if we had a training regimen with an actual coach who would be able to either voluntarily like make it more legit instead of like, hey, like let's Thursday nights, let's go play some pickleball. It's like, hey, Thursday nights, what do you want to work on? Who do you want to work with? And then how can I help, and what balls do you want me to feed? Kind of creating a regiment to where it's more structured. That way, not only people take it seriously, but like the improvement will skyrocket. Just because not many people. I don't see any. Teams aren't going out having team practices, to where it's like the practices that I run here at the high school. Like no one's doing that.
I agree with that, and that's really also a telling sign for these schools, right? To see how involved they want to be and how important they find it if they're willing to get a coach for these clubs or these teams, because they see that that's what's necessary to potentially take it to the next level, where if this thing grows, it could become lucrative. That excites me as well. So we talked a little bit about the group stage. Let's move to the matchup against TCU. Did you guys know anything about them? Have any scouting report before you went in based on the games that they played in group play or before going into that semifinals? What was the vibe around you four? What was the conversations you have before those games? And how did you feel that those three went, because you only played three?
I had played one of the TCU guys previously in Dallas in August at a next gen tournament, and me and my partner knocked him and his partner out of play. And unfortunately, Max and Kate got to play him. I really wanted to play him and do it again, but he was awesome. But that was the only player that I had known from TCU. But other than that, we had watched the girls and we were like, hey, they have solid girls, which was not the case with a lot of teams. You saw the men really excel where the girls kind of lacked. But TCU had solid females, and that gave me and Kate a really good match. That one was fun.
Yeah, those were fun.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we went into it thinking they were probably going to be our toughest match from what we had watched. Like, we were all thinking they're going to be, like, probably the best team we play from what we had seen. And so if we can just, like, stay mentally tough and get through this one, then, like, we'll be, like, solid. So that's kind of how we were feeling. So I think we were, like, extra prepared for that one because we were like, okay, they're definitely going to be good.
Yeah, definitely not looking ahead to the next one. Focused on that one. Took care of what you needed to do. 3 games, very quick. Made quick work. And then, the match against UNC obviously didn't go the way that you wanted to. When you guys talked about it afterwards, we don't have to get into, the entire breakdown. I'm sure that you guys did of, every single point. But was there a general theme of either something you guys think you didn't do or something that UNC was doing to you guys that you found was one of the major reasons to lose that match?
From what I thought about the match is we watched UNC play, and obviously they're a good team. They have solid females and males. I think that was the most consistent I saw their females play the whole tournament. In my opinion, I just thought they stepped up to the occasion in the finals, and they really didn't make very many unforced errors, which is hard to beat if they don't really miss. So I think their females really stepped up. We knew their males were going to be good either way, but I think their females really is what helped them in the finals, playing their consistent game. I thought they played well.
Yeah.
One thing I think we all felt that was hard to get over was having the mental toughness. Because when you go in as a first seed to anything, people hate you.
Yeah.
Right? People hate you. You have a big red target on your forehead. But trying to get over that and be mentally tough to own up to it, like it takes a lot of experience in order to get to that level. And it's hard for anyone to keep your cool, especially when an audience is like swayed towards a different team. So I think all of us definitely felt that.
Have you guys ever played in front of anything like that before? The atmosphere that was going on in the crowd like that was also with the weather that was going on. What was the whole environment of that during a finals?
I think that we were at a huge disadvantage having to sit and watch them play their semifinals before going back on. I think that we were all a little cold. If you watched, you saw them get points quick, and before we
took all a minute to warm up. Yeah.
That's an interesting like I was saying before you guys even came on, I have never played pickleball in my life in that cold of weather, so I couldn't even compare. It's getting to the point right now where I went from playing 5 times a week to 4 to 3 to suddenly I'm a little bit more busy when my pickleball group chat goes off just because of that weather. So I get that, and it is a factor. That being said, what what is there anything that even can be done to like work on that, or is it just now knowing that in these finals elements could potentially play a major factor in them?
I personally regret staying up for longer. Like,
Okay.
he should have been playing instead of watching their finals games. And I honestly, while Max and Kate were playing, even though I was obviously wanting to cheer and root for them, I should have been warming up for my potential mixed game.
No, I get that. I get that. Yeah. Because I get that because I'm the worst when if I sit and it's warm out, like my feet and like especially the bottom of my feet get like real bad and I gotta warm up. So in the cold, I can only imagine, especially someone that's quickly coming off another game that's warm and doesn't have to worry about that. That it is an interesting thing, but obviously something that had to be dealt with, and you still put up one hell of a match. 2 questions. I'll go down the line, and this is how I'll leave it. One, how badly do you guys want to play that UNC team again? And 2, actually, let's just go down that question first. Starting with Dylan, how badly do you want to play that UNC team again?
So badly. I can tell you right now, I did not play my best pickleball in that game. I think the pressure got to me. I wasn't being my consistent self. I was very frustrated, noticeably frustrated with myself. And if I could play them again, it would fully be on. And I can say that with your confidence.
Matt, what's the competitive you side thinking about in terms of really wanting to play that specific team again? Because I know what it feels like, man.
Yeah, I mean it'd be fun. Like
maybe not.
Yeah, I mean competitively it'd be nice. But honestly, like those guys were class acts. Like
Okay.
on off the court, like they're good guys. And then I heard that all of them are like going to med school and stuff. When I heard that, and then they're getting the scholarship, I don't know, I was pumped for them after I heard that. But competitively, I'm like, yeah, it was a bummer we lost, but that's honestly how I feel.
Max and Kate, what are you guys saying?
Real quick. That's just such a pickleball answer, right? Like, it's like as this game grows, it's like people are really growing together, right? The relationships built in pickleball, you really can't put a price on that. So
I guess I'm Dylan and Johnny's Matt because I'm like, I would like hit them up and volunteer to fly out to UNC on my own dime to set up a game. That's just who I am. But Max and Kate, what side of the fence do you fall on in terms of wanting another shot at them?
I feel like I'm a little bit in between. Honestly, they were super cool after. I know Matt's acting calm and cool about it now, but you should have heard him when that ball hit the net cord and the ball landed in. He wasn't so calm and cool about that shot. I think that was a hard way to lose off the net. They were in a position to win anyways, but I think for me, there's times in our mixed match where I felt like we didn't play our best, and we were up on the changeover 11-10, and we let them have a 7-1 run. So I wish I could go back and eliminate that run, but I would love to play them again. I think it would be awesome, and we played our best, but I also think that goes to them. They played a lot better than I even expected, so I think they earned it in every way. But
that's awesome. And Kate?
Yeah, I would love to play it again. I kind of feel like Dylan, where I don't feel like I was playing my best. I started out really slow. Like right when I finished the women's, I was just thinking like if I could go back and just play another match like right now, I feel like I could win it. Even just like back to back. If we just started another game, like if I just could reset and play, like I just felt like we could have taken it. And it really is true. That was the best I saw them play like the whole tournament. Like I think we went in a little bit, not that we were gonna 100% win. We were still like knew we needed to play good, but I definitely thought our TCU match was gonna be our hardest match. And so then it was like, okay, shoot, they are playing good, and I think that added some pressure onto it. So I don't know. It was just kind of hard coming off, and I just missed a couple of shots that I was like, I never miss those, and so it just like killed me. I was just like, I want to play that so bad, but
I get that.
Hey, I
really-
didn't see any reviews of that net cord shot to end it either. That
Yeah.
was really a tight call,
That
guys.
That was a crazy ending, and let's leave it on this one on a high note. Any of you guys can take this one. What's next? What's next for Utah Tech pickleball? Kind of in this wild west where I don't know how many things are specifically on the calendar on a national level. I know we have the holidays and then kind of the downtime of the turn of the calendar, but in early 2023, is there anything quick that the fans can look out for? The ones that watched you on center court in Dreamland and really loved what they saw?
I think we're trying to put together another. Before the tournament happened, we went and played Utah State and some of the other schools throughout Utah. I think we're looking to put together another Utah tournament with all the schools throughout Utah. So I think upcoming in the start of 2023, that should be exciting for us.
Yeah.
But for the rest of us, me, Matt, and Kate, this is all our last year at the school. So Dylan's going to be carrying Utah Tech for a while for us.
Guess I gotta get my PhD.
Yeah. So Dylan, I guess you're the one that we'll be contacting in the future as this thing grows and we continue to follow it. Because like I said off the bat, it was freaking awesome this weekend. You guys put on a show. Didn't get the final ending that you guys wanted to, but Jake said you guys ate a lot of food, stuffed your faces, enjoyed yourself. So I'm happy you guys had fun. I'm happy you guys did well. And let's talk again sometime soon. But Dylan, Matt, Max, and Kate, the stars of Utah Tech Trailblazer Pickleball. Thank you guys so much and have a great night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, Jake, for the tournament. It was an amazing
It was
experience.
so awesome.
Oh, Jake. Yeah, thanks, Jake.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. This was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
That was fun.
What a
That was
team.
fun. Jake, I think you're on mute. Is that where you want to be, though? It's fine if you're on mute, but you are.
Yep, there we go.
Okay, there you go.
Crazy calls during that. Like, dude, wait till next week, man. Oh.
Yo, that was sick. That was sick. That was a story of pickleball right there. We have a freshman with a married couple with a senior tennis coach. Wow. What
Did
a
you
team.
hear us on the commentating? Because obviously we're getting a ton of information through the mic, and they're like, "Oh, this is amazing! We got a brother and sister playing another brother and sister."
Yeah, against TCU.
Yeah, and then we were like, "Wait, never mind, they're married."
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was bad. Like,
Yeah.
I felt bad, but
Yeah.
I went up to him afterwards. I'm like, "I'm sorry, you're gonna hear this that we said," and they were like, and he was so funny. He was like, "Well, it is Utah."
Shots fired.
Shots fired. That is funny. Someone said that in the chat. Yes. But all right. So we just talked to the Utah Tech team, and that was a lot of fun. But now let's welcome on the 2022 Duper Collegiate National Championships, the North Carolina Tar Heels, Hunter, Colin, Sarah, and Caitlin. How you guys doing tonight?
Good. Thanks for having us on.
Oh, yeah, you guys sound so excited. No, I appreciate that. As I said to Utah Tech before, you guys, Saturday, watching you guys on Saturday was a freaking blast. You guys are all phenomenal. The caliber of pickleball was fantastic. If the school names weren't there, we would have thought it was pro. So you guys won. Should be proud of yourself. Hopefully it jumpstarts a really, really, really great future program in North Carolina. But I think Saturday was the start of something really special for college pickleball. So just how I want to start this is so people know, let's go down the line. We all know that you are obviously at North Carolina, but starting with Sarah, can you just tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got into pickleball, and how you found yourself playing pickleball at North Carolina?
Yeah, so I am the 26-year-old grad student that Jake was referring to. So I'm working on my PhD in math, and the great thing about PhDs is, you just keep working and finish when you want. So who knows how long I'll be here. How did I get into pickleball? I started playing with my dad. We have a court out on the street. That's how I got into it, and then started playing a couple of years ago in Chapel Hill. Just started playing with the club last spring.
Okay. And Caitlin, how about you?
I'm a junior, and I kind of got into pickleball, also with my dad. Where I'm from in North Carolina is kind of a big retirement community, and so lots of people play pickleball. There's lots of courts, so I don't know. There's a nice indoor facility near where I live, so we just kind of got into it and got to some competitive groups. And then when I came to UNC, getting involved with the club team was a nice way to meet people, especially after COVID and everything, being on lockdown.
That's awesome. So far we have the 26-year-old med student, the junior, and this is turning out into a great pickleball. This is what I love about pickleball, the difference in people. Colin, who are you, my good friend?
I'm a first-year med student at UNC. Started getting into pickleball with my younger brother. We happen to live beside a pickleball court about last summer. And then I got involved with the club. I was playing at a local park, and I met Hunter, and he told me about the club.
Okay. So 2 medical students, a junior. Hunter, close out this team. Who are you, my friend?
So I'm a junior studying business. And, my, I guess, pickleball origin story is I'm from Texas and played high school tennis. And my buddy and I were pretty successful in high school tennis. So we were thinking, we're young, we're athletic. Saw some pickleball courts. 2 40-year-old guys challenged us and absolutely destroyed us. So then my buddy and I, being competitive, were saying we need to try this out. So ultimately we'll be able to beat them. And I kind of just fell in love with the sport and kept playing. And yeah, I've been playing 4 years now and love it.
That's awesome. So let's go. Let's toss this one to Colin. What is the Carolina club like? I'm trying to get a sense of what these pickleball clubs are like at these schools. How many people are in it? When did it start? How often is it going on? Could you shine a little light into that?
Yeah, can I actually pass that one along? Because I'm probably not the best.
I love when that happens. Whoever wants to take that one can answer that one.
Everyone gets one pass. That's it. That's the game.
I think Sarah and I will tag team it.
Yeah, you go.
Okay, so to my understanding, I transferred to UNC last year, and I'm pretty sure it was started over COVID. So the semester before I got there last fall, and I'm pretty sure they started it just a group of friends, Charlie, Tatum, and some other people who have since graduated or are about to graduate, started the club with just a group of friends in order to get together and have an excuse to play. And it's slowly grown. And Sarah and I kind of took over the club this year as people aged and were beginning to graduate or were busy with other activities. So we kind of took it over and made it a little bit more official, where we scheduled designated practice times. So we practice twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. And then we've been able to use Duper in order to try to get different skill levels and encourage people to log their matches to get.
You hear that, games. Jake? You hear what UNC's doing? They're encouraging people to log their matches.
Yes.
Another guy that wants a job.
That's all Sarah.
I had a great conversation with Sarah after you guys won, and it's crazy. Even that's why we do it, honestly, is to make sure you guys have a platform to figure out who to play, how to play. There's a million different variables in it, but Sarah knew as much as I was shocked. I was like, all right.
It's crazy. It's interesting. And how many people are in the club, and why you four? How did you four get chosen to play in the national championship?
You want to take it, Sarah?
Sure. Yeah, that honestly, we went a lot on Duper. So I do believe that we have the 2 highest guys and the 2 highest girls who went. And then it was also just I really think MLP style is huge on the ladies. I've listened to Adam and Rob's podcast. Yes. I really enjoy listening to them talk about MLP quite a bit and talk about like how important mixed is, right? And both of these guys have good mixed skills, which is so important. So that was a big factor in it. But yeah, mostly Duper. And then we also do get along, pretty well. I think they talked about it a lot in commentary of like these guys just like really enjoy being around each other. They're friends, you can tell. So we felt all those things.
For sure. And to finish answering your question, we have a total of 70 people in our club.
Holy, that's awesome. That's
We're
awesome.
like paying members with dues. And then we have roughly like 300 people in our group me. But that's really just like you can text us there and say you want to play and ask if courts are open and that kind of thing.
That's so you have 70. That's awesome. How involved is the administration in the school now with you and working with you guys? Like, is this all off campus that you're kind of doing this?
So I would say our practices are held on campus, but they're on platform tennis courts.
Okay.
So it's kind of like there's this big mesh cage, which have nets that are a little bit higher than regulation, and we're able to play on them. And we also like tape tennis courts. So we have 2 Gamma nets, since Gamma is one of our sponsors that helps us out a lot. And we tape courts with like masking tape every single time that we play in order to be able to, I guess, play pickleball. But we're looking to talk to the administration about building more courts. But we'll see. Hopefully this will help our case.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You have a great bargaining chip.
Oh.
Yeah, just show them the gold medal, and that's good. Caitlin, how much did how that rock, paper, scissor match turned out motivate you to play the way that you played in the finals?
I really didn't want to play the second one, but I feel like that I won the only one that mattered. So I wasn't really like bothered, but she really did kind of freak me out when she said she really did. I was kind of like, whoa, I had to take a step back. I was like, this is aggressive. This is
It was funny because like we saw it live, they showed it on stream. So yours was a genuine reaction, and it seemed like you were after she did it the first time. And she said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." You kind of were like, coming down, like, okay. Then she did it a second time, and then you turned around and walked back to your team, and you were just like, "What the hell did I just see?" Her, we asked her about it, and her reasoning was she hates non-finished rock, paper, scissors. So she says the way that she plays is if you have scissor and someone has paper, you got to put the paper in the scissor. Don't kill the messenger. That's just what she said. But I was genuinely wondering, like, if I was you and I look for anything when I play sports to like motivate me, I would have used that.
I don't know. I mean, like looking back on it now, I think it's hilarious. But like when it happened, I was like kind of freaked out. I was like, whoa. But I don't know. Like, I don't really think it really like affected how I thought like before the match or like during the match. Like I was like, I mean, the only thing I thought was like, wow, she's intense. Like it's gonna be intense. So, but now me all like in the sport, nothing serious.
No, it was fun. And then to Colin and Hunter, the thing that I noticed about you guys is how cold was it there? You were the 2 that stayed maybe bundled more than the rest, and I was really wondering how that was going to work because you had the pants, you had the sweatshirt on. I know when I play, even if it's cold, I'll get like as unrestricted as possible. How cold was it, and have you ever played in anything that cold before?
That was the coldest I've ever played in. I mean, okay. I was wearing like leggings and tights and like 3 jackets and the full pants, and I was freezing. My wrists were cold. It was so cold.
And Hunter, did it actually change did it impact gameplay at all?
It should impact the ball play, right?
I would say like it played a little bit harder. So on some speed ups, I noticed a few of them that like normally I'd roll and they'd be in, and like I'm trying to hit them deep and they'd sail a little bit. So that definitely changed it a little. But like Colin said, I've never played whenever it was that cold. Like I played one day whenever it was a little bit warmer, and we broke like 12 Duras. Wow. So it's insane how cold it was.
Wow. So let's we had the pleasure of watching only the semifinals and the finals. So I want to go into the group play a little bit. So it was you guys, it was Ohio State, it was Grand Canyon, it was Michigan. Is there anything about any of those matchups that sticks out to you right now? Did any of the teams seem the hardest to you? Was there any surprises? What about group play and those 3 teams, if any, quickly comes to memory if you were to just summarize what happened on that day? Hunter or Sarah?
I would say in general, our girls really showed up. Like Caitlin and Sarah took care of business. Caitlin didn't lose a match the entire weekend. So,
wow.
And Sarah lost a mixed match because I choked. But yeah, our girls really, like, they took care of business the entire weekend. And it was awesome having every team in our pool. GCU was super cool. And having Ohio State, Michigan playing each other the first round, having the rivalry, I guess, really started the tournament out right whenever both the fans of both the teams were cheering. And it was really cool environment.
Was there any difference in feel from the schools like the Ohio State, like the Michigan, like the you guys versus the Loyola Marymount and the Grand Canyons? Or did everyone there feel like they were just there for the same reason, coming from the same place?
I think I didn't feel much of a difference. I think we walked into our first match against Grand Canyon knowing they're a small school, like we're not expecting too much. And we were able to handle it. It wasn't too bad, but then they ended up, I think, being the second best team in our pool. I think they were better than Ohio State and Michigan. So it just shows that, the big schools are not necessarily the best.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. Who knows, at the end of 2023, when hopefully this thing is in full gear next year and there's a top 25 ranking, is it going to be a school like UNC? Is it going to be a Loyola Marymount? It's all out there to take, which is a lot of fun. And yeah, just to follow up what Hunter said, we just got off with Utah Tech, and the one thing that they brought up is how good you two ladies played. They said you guys played phenomenal. And honestly, when we asked them, is there anything specific that you guys either did to beat them or they felt that they did to let you guys beat them, they just kind of gave you guys credit and said you guys were a great team who outplayed them on that day. So yeah, they echoed the fact of how good you played. But before you got to before you got to Utah Tech, you had to take on James Madison. Was there anything about them going in that you knew? Was there any more strategy into that game versus any of the group play games? If you guys can take me into the conversations before, during, and after that semifinals, I would appreciate that.
I know one thing is that I had played JMU in a tournament last spring that NC State hosted with six schools. And Florida actually won that. Florida brought a really good team to that and won that tournament. But I had played some JMU people and they, weren't stellar. So then when I saw the fact that they were the number 2 overall, I was like, that seems a little strange to me. Like the fact that Utah Tech is where they are, us, I'd played some TCU people before. I knew that they were pretty solid, but they were like, that's interesting. So to be honest, going into the tournament, we saw that we liked where we were in our pool. We liked where we were coming out of semis, knowing that we were going to get to play, in my opinion, an overrated JMU team. We liked that. And so,
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, we went into it with, and that's not, they played really well. They were the first team to take a game off of us. So that's not to say that they weren't good. They played really well. But I think going into it, we were confident.
I like that. No, I love that personality. I like you, Sarah. Colin, was there any specific game plan for JMU now that you were in the semifinals, or was it you guys just playing the game that you played 3 games prior?
Yeah, nothing really specific because we didn't really know them. Kind of just early on in the match, figuring out who to go to more often, and then trying to kind of isolate that was our main game plan.
And so if I remember right, both same genders doubles won, right? And the first mixed doubles dropped the game, and then the second mixed doubles took it. I don't want to put anyone on the spot. Who was the mixed doubles team that dropped it?
So we lost. As I said earlier, that was the first game that Sarah lost and the only game of the tournament.
Okay, I'm going to ask Sarah this because I know Hunter is already falling on the sword and said it was his fault. Was there anything after that game, just sitting here, that you felt was the main reason, either that they did right or you guys didn't accomplish and you were trying, that was the reason you dropped that leg of the match?
Yeah, I hit about 8 dinks in the net, so that'll do it.
Oh, so you're saying it's your fault, Hunter's saying it's his fault. Okay. So those are the types of answers we're going to get.
It just wasn't our best play overall. I lost confidence for sure. we called a timeout down like 10 points. And I said, Hunter, can I please go play on the left? Like, I really suck right now on the right. Can I try something? And so we did that. We went on a run. I think only ended up losing like 21-18.
Yeah, it was a really cool comeback, and it was a comeback where all the pressure quickly changed to them, right? Because it could have been the knockout. So I was like, are they going to do it? Or are they going to do it? Caitlin and Colin, you're obviously not rooting to have to play or your teammates to lose, and you would have loved for them to close it out. What's the feeling of being that stopper? They dropped one. If you guys drop one into anyone's game in Dreambreaker, what's the conversation between you two as you walk on the court?
I think the most important thing in that situation is to try to get some momentum early on, put a little bit of extra pressure on them, try to get an early lead. And I think luckily we did do that in both those games, and that just helped out a lot.
And you beat them bad in that fourth game, right? That definitely gave you. Did that fourth game, how it ended, give momentum for the finals?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we were coming off pretty hot, so that really helped.
Yeah, it was the exact way of how you wanted to go about a fourth game. Like, you never wanted to let them think that they had a chance. There was never a run. There was never a doubt. It was quickly setting up for you guys to take on Utah Tech. So you take James Madison in 4. You go to play Utah Tech in the finals. Do you guys know anything about Utah Tech going in?
We know they have a big TikTok presence.
Okay, a big social media presence. We did cover that with them, so that's fun. That's good. Confidence level. I don't want to talk to Sarah on this one because I already know where her confidence is. I want to go to Caitlin. Confidence level as you guys go take on Utah Tech. Obviously, there's the rock, paper, scissors, and that comes into it. But that aside, what was just the overall confidence level as you went onto the court to play these finals?
I don't know how everyone else felt, but like for me, like there was like even in the semis, like even in the finals, there was like never a point where I didn't feel confident. Like I don't know, like to get to play with Colin, like I'm like, you know what, if I get the ball across the net, like it's gonna be all right. And like kind of the same thing with Sarah. I'm like, if I just play consistently, then I think like in my matches it will all work out. And then it's just a matter of like having faith in the other people that you play with. And you know, I never really didn't feel confident about like where we're at and what we were gonna do.
Yeah,
so that's because I will say, like from a commentary position, Caitlin had the best forehand roll dink of the whole tournament from anybody, men, women. It was the most similar to like a pro level roll dink. Yeah. And as a guy, I'm sure it was so easy playing with her. Like she just set up everything in the middle. She did such a good job.
Yeah, it was pro caliber tennis. When we were breaking down the style of tennis in terms of the skill that you guys have, I don't think there's much difference between you guys and the pros, and it's a lot of experience. And just being in these tournaments like this are going to do wonders. And I can't even imagine the next time that you guys step onto a stage like this, the advantage that you're going to have over people that have never been there before. Because doing something like this is incredible. And Jake, I'm going to need you to overwrite copyright laws for this, but I'm going to bring up, some of these last points that you guys get to watch this back yet?
Yeah,
I think we've all seen it a lot.
Did the four of you, you've all seen it a lot? Okay.
Has anyone
let's see this
free-streamed the
point.
final point?
Let's see what happens. Okay, so it wasn't that one. What are you feeling at that point, Colin? What are you feeling at that point, Colin? When it hits off your paddle and goes in the air, what happens? Okay.
That one.
Okay, so just one of those that hits you. And now and Utah Tech has. So when Utah Tech gets the ball back, is there any nerves when they're on serve between the two of you, Caitlin and Colin, at that point, knowing what the score is?
I didn't feel any, but yeah, I don't always know what the score is. So
sounds about right.
That's awesome.
That's to watch this point. I want to watch this point one more time. So Colin goes for it. Did you know it was in immediately?
Yeah, I saw it go in.
I mean,
Okay,
I feel like the same way
Caitlin,
Justin
you as
did
well?
this year.
Yeah, I mean, like the guy from Utah Tech, like he was right across from me, and like as soon as it went in, he was like, "That's like such a shitty way for this to end." Blah 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 blah. And like all I could think about, I was like knowing playing with Colin all the time, like it wouldn't have mattered. Like what you wanted that ball to do, like that was gonna be a winner no matter what. Like so never really any doubt.
That's funny. Jake, what was it from your standpoint as like calling it that final point? Did you know it was in? Did the crowd know it was in? What type of ending was that like?
It was kind of funny because Brandon and I, like, honestly, when you commentate for that long, you kind of, let's use the word zone out at times. There was no time to zone out. It was nuts. It was so freaking loud in there that you couldn't hear anything. So it was like, I can't say that I've watched every point of a match like I did. Brandon and I were so into it. It was a blast. But no, for sure, the ball was way in. And it was funny, too, because we were kind of like waiting for a larger celebration. But everybody, it kind of got killed by that. Was it in? Was it out? So, but
Yeah.
no, it was interesting.
No, it was a great
mixed
match
reaction from the crowd.
Yeah, because people weren't sure, but I could tell from the viewer frame that it was on that it was the winning point. And national champions went to UNC quickly. What did you guys? What's that feeling like? Like you guys are collegiate national champions. Is it like a super big deal for you guys individually? Was it big for the club? Like how'd you guys feel after taking this home?
I think one thing the three of us that were still in town today, Hunter stayed in Texas afterwards, but we went to a park today to get like interviewed by somebody who has connections with the athletic department, and like everybody's coming up to us being like, "Congratulations!" It's like that's kind of funny. Made all of our like local people at the park really proud, so that's exciting. But yeah, I think it's kind of surreal. Like personally, never thought that I would like compete in any sport, especially at this point in my life. So it's just kind of like a treat, I feel like.
No, it's all like you are collegiate national champions at your sport. It's awesome. It's amazing. I was so easy to buy into it. UNC just as a brand name, it would be so easy for a bunch of people to get behind you. I was tweeting at all my friends that went to UNC that don't even know pickleball that they were just hyped that they won a national championship at anything. Sports school so easy to get behind. Hopefully this springboards that into a group of 70 paying people next year when they see what's possible can double if they know that being part of this club can potentially be their ticket to maybe getting and playing for a collegiate national championship. But before I let you go, Hunter, as kind of taking over the reins of this club, what's next? I know right now it's holiday season and then it's the turn of the calendar. But in 2023, with the success of this tournament, what's the early year calendar looking like for UNC pickleball?
That's a good question. I think Sarah and all of us are actually going to be back next year because Sarah has another year left on her PhD, and then Colin's a first-year med student. So we should be able to play next year too, and hopefully run it back. But there's great competition, so that'll be fun. But really just setting up matches against other schools would be great. We had the opportunity to play against Penn State at the MLP Columbus event, which was super cool. Playing against NC State, maybe hosting a tournament. We hosted one to fundraise for people to go to nationals. So really just doing all that and get more plugged into the community and grow pickleball.
No, it's awesome. And to be, the best, Duper ratings may say one thing, but to me, I always loved when it's settled on the court and Duper ratings put to the side. Jake, sorry, close your ears. You guys, in my eyes, are the number one team in the country. I don't think anybody could argue that. So knowing that must feel really cool. But with that, now you know there's going to be that target on your backs, especially if the four of you come back and play together next year. So I'm going to be very excited to watch. Johnny and Jake, is there anything else for the national champs before we let them go?
I would say, like, from our end, congratulations. We had as much fun being a part of it as you guys did. Like, it was every time we put on one of these events, it sucks 99% until it's happening. But no, it was cool. Like, we had so many good things to say.
That was fun. And Johnny, anything from you?
I just got to say the future's bright for pickleball, right? We've talked about on this show a few times how important the collegiate impact will be long term, and what you guys are doing now. I mean, you kind of are solidifying just that stamp that the exposure's there. You guys are getting out there now on streams. You're getting out there with some of these big organizations. People will stumble across these videos and they'll see you guys, and so that's just a monumental thing. So kudos to you guys, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see your phones ring more here soon.
And one thing for Jake is, Jake, who says no to a UNC BLQK grudge match at Dreamland? Does anybody say no to that?
We won't say no to any of it, to be honest.
I like that. But Sarah, Caitlin, Colin, and Hunter, it actually makes me really happy that you guys said that you're going to be around for the next 4 years, because you guys kind of, I mean, not the next 4 years. Sorry, you're going to be around for the next year. I'm sorry, because it's going to be great to see you guys be able to carry on the success, and you guys set the foundation and became the national champs. So now you get to go on the circuit next year and defend it, and hopefully end up at Dreamland at the end of the year. But I appreciate you for coming on tonight and giving us a little bit of time. And the next time you guys win any other tournament, whether national or more geographic, I would love to have you on. But I really appreciate you giving us this half hour, and talk to you guys soon. National champions, UNC Pickleball. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Have a great night. No, that was a lot of fun. That was a great team, national champions. Another team like Utah Tech, just made up of an eclectic foursome. Like, it's not 4 highly recruited freshmen playing. It's a married couple with a freshman, with a tennis coach, playing 2 med students with 2 juniors. It's what pickleball is, man. It's what pickleball is, college pickleball. It's a microcosm for what the entire sport should try and be.
No, and it's huge, right?
And I say 2032. When you get to 2032, right? Imagine the state of college sports now, the industry of just putting your kids into coaching camps, lessons, all these things, and all these other sports that provide scholarships. Once the scholarship funding comes, watch out. Like, it is unbelievable how much this sport will just explode.
And then it's the Olympics, and then we're set for long term.
Olympic comes soon after.
Maggie Remintz said on social she saw pickleball courts in Geneva, Switzerland on the train. So they're popping up everywhere.
It's a good addiction that everybody has, but we're past 8 o'clock now, and we talked to this is a conversation that I could have legit had those teams on for an hour and a half each. Like, I got so much that I wanted to talk to them. And at the end, I was looking at the clock and making sure that we got everything in. But look, I'm a huge college sports fan, and my favorite sport is pickleball. So for me, like, you just gave me the opportunity to talk to, like, who won what did UNC win the national championship last year? They beat Kansas. This is like, for me, some people getting to talk to the UNC basketball team. I'm not going to make any claims that pickleball is bigger than basketball, but for me personally, my favorite sport is pickleball. So this was sick. Jake, I really, really, without like wanting to fan out, appreciate you reaching out and like getting us in contact with these kids. Not even just with the college scene, like you said, what you're creating with this. We could see Hunter, we could see Sarah, we could see Dylan playing for the Ranchers, playing for BLQK when they graduate. This is all part of a streamlined ecosystem that once it gets to college, then we start with high schools. Whenever there's that next step, we can always then go to the group younger, trying to reach that next step. So we'll see how college works for even people younger than that. Then once we get leagues for high schools, we'll then see middle schoolers getting into it. So just super exciting. Appreciating you help us set it up. The next event for you is the 16-18, the December 8th.
December 10th and 11th at Dreamland.
December 10th and 11th on Dreamland. Are you going to be calling that with Mr. Insect Pong again?
No, I am taking I'm taking a break.
Okay.
It's crazy. We'll be launching 2023 schedule for minor leagues. Check out minorleaguepv.com. We actually already have the schedule up for next year. We don't have the venues released, but it's going to be. I'm so excited for next week to start to push what we're doing because it's crazy, and we took it like a secret bet of what these college duper will be next year average compared to what it is this year. And if we give a platform for these kids to go start playing minor league events and all this, these kids duper is going to go through the roof. They're all going to be so good, right?
It's all going to be amazing. And
a lot of them are only playing themselves. I looked at their duper matches.
That's what Utah Tech said, right? They had to go out and challenge other schools, and that's what's so exciting. They're going to be forced into competition with each other because they know that there's now something to go after. You may not have scheduled these practices or tournaments with schools across the border of another state or around you if you didn't have the chance to play at a pickleball national championship. You'd probably be very happy sitting around at your club. So this having the ability to play for something then spurs competition and collaboration, and these teams will take care of themselves and give us the content. And Jake, with launching minor league pickleball, will give me and Johnny a lot of people to talk to, because as much as I find the pros fascinating, minor league players and college players will always be a little bit more fascinating to me because they may have some other things going on in their life. But I'm getting texts behind the scenes that we've gone over, even though we started a half hour early. So Johnny, Jake, appreciate this conversation. It was a lot of fun. Jake, we're going every Tuesday, so whenever you got something that you want to say, always feel free to hop on and we'll make it work.
I'm looking forward to next week.
Your episodes make the best ones, let us know.
All right, we'll stay in touch, man. I appreciate you guys.
Jake, Johnny, have a great night.
You
Take
too.
care, fellas.
Bye, guys.
Peace.
Bye.